it's Abdul. Welcome to this video on phase 2 strategy. So let's say you just completed your world, so you're now officially in phase 2 and you're wondering on what to do next. Very common question I get, and it's time to crack on. I think the first most important thing that you should do is probably congratulate yourself. A lot of people don't appreciate just how much of a mammoth task it is to complete your world. When I tell my friends and my family who are not in medicine, hey, I just finished 4,000 questions, this is insane for the average person. So do pat yourself in the back and be very proud of accomplishing that far. Now, at the end of phase 1 and on that transition to phase 2, the most important thing that you really want to figure out and understand is how strong was your phase 1? How effective was your phase 1 journey? And what is your current baseline? If you're already at this stage and you're watching this video and you might kind of feel bad, oh my God, I didn't apply a lot of those UWorld maxing when I did my first pass. Don't feel bad. There is still so much more that you can do at this stage. But the first thing that you want to do is set your baseline. And the best way to do that is by doing an assessment. Either you do UWorld Self-Assessment 1, or sometimes a lot of people like to do a very old NBME, like NBME 9. The whole purpose of this step is to simply define your baseline. It really doesn't matter what it is. A lot of people are very worried when they do their first exam and they don't get a good score. That's a baseline. That's where you're starting from. That's not where you're going to end. If you end at the level of your baseline by the end of phase 2 and 3, honestly, you failed. You have genuinely failed making the most out of your time. You want to see continuous improvement. Where that starts does not matter at the long term. You see a lot of people who began at 220. I've seen people who were started at like low 200s, 210, and were able to climb all the way to the mid 260s purely from grinding. And also you've seen a lot of people who started at 240s and never increased. The most important thing that you should do is define your baseline, but also keep a very healthy mindset whatever score you get. Now, the phase 2 strategy really is dependent on the person. It heavily revolves around a balance or a little kind of like rhythmic dance between NBME and CMS forms. But in terms of specific phase 2 strategy, the only person who can give you a specific answer is yourself, plus or minus a mentor. This is a very unique kind of like step, which is very dependent on every person, the personal circumstances, and a lot of factors that you can't really address in a single video. I'll try to keep it as general as possible, but this is usually where either speaking to a friend, a colleague, or a mentor is very high yield. What I tend to do with my mentees is we reverse engineer. We find out how much time they have left before their exam, and we also start with how many NBMEs and CMS forms they have, and then we distribute it with the amount of weeks they have for phase 2. So let's say, for example, you sat down with a student and they're like, yo, we did the calculations and we went down to 2 NBMEs a week. For every week, I would usually assign a single day where it's completely off. It's very important that you have some degree of rest day to recover and not get burnt out. So in this case, we're choosing Sunday as our rest day. This day is completely off. Go relax, hang out with the boys, go for a drink, wherever. Then you have now the rest of the week. I like to start the week with an NBME. You start the week strong and you have, let's say Monday, you do your NBME, maybe you review a block, and then by the end of Tuesday, you would have reviewed the entire NBME. And by review, I mean a very detailed review, Skittles approach, everything. Then in between the next NBME, I will then have a bunch of CMS forms. So Wednesday and Thursday will be all about CMS forms, building up your exam skill, building up your comfort level with tackling NBME style questions, because a lot of people do suffer from that transition from UWorld to NBME. The question format is different, so you need some time to adapt, and CMS forms are perfect for that. And then you will have your NBME on Friday with the same kind of pattern. Now, obviously, if someone takes 3 days to review, that will change. This is just a general idea of what I do for a lot of my mentees. We reverse engineer the amount of NBMEs and the amount of CMS forms per week based on the amount of weeks they have before their exam. So like I said, this is a very good moment to reach out to your mentor or your senior colleague or a friend to really help you build out that perfect phase 2 strategy. It's very, very dependent on the person. And another important factor that you should also maintain in this period is a growth mindset. Your baseline doesn't matter. Please trust me in that one. The most important thing is that you have a growth mindset. You continuously try to grow, and that 270 or that 280 is always attainable. Put it on a sticky note, slam it in somewhere where you see it every day, and keep grinding and enjoy the process. Thank you so much for listening, and that's it for the phase 2 strategy.